You're very welcome back. Now, today there are almost 7,500 men, women and children in emergency accommodation right across the country. And next week, the Royal Institute of Architects of Ireland are teaming up with the Simon communities in the hope of raising €100,000 for these families.
The RIAI Simon Open Door campaign is now in its 13th year, and joining us now is the nation's favourite architect and star of RTÉ's Room to Improve, Dermot Bannon. Good morning, Dermot.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Dermot.
Tell us a little bit about the campaign itself. 13 years it's been running.
13 years it's been running. I think this is my 8th year being the ambassador, but I love the event because it's kind of win-win for everybody. I think the public get a huge amount out of it. It's a chance to go in and meet an architect. I think for a long time, architects are always seen as somebody you get when you win the lotto, or it's somebody that when you're on to it was a luxury. Yeah, and design in this country is still seen as a little bit elitist. And I think what this does is it allows people to engage with an architect for an hour and kind of get some ideas off them, see the woods for the trees, you know, because most people won't do anything with their home because they think, oh, well, I can't move that because there's a fireplace there. I won't, but it's a structural wall. And just somebody to have an overview, or the amount of people who come into me and they've been looking at things for 20 years, hoping to do something. They never did it because they're afraid. They're afraid. So it's a great chance to engage with people. It's a great chance as well, because it's a nationwide event. There's an awful lot of architects regionally around the nation who never kind of get to meet people, or people don't even know they're their local architects. So I'd love eventually that everybody has an architect the same way they might have an accountant if they run their own business, or they have a GP, or they have a dentist, so that if you do have a problem, that you just say, listen, I'm thinking about knocking down this wall, what should I do? Because we've done things so badly for so long.
But to explain the premise, when you say it gives people access to it, somebody can go in and get access to an architect for an hour.
Yeah, you log on to simenopendoor.ie and then you choose your region where you are, and then it gives you a list of all the architects who are participating in your area, and you click on that, you pay your €90 and that goes straight to the Simon community, so don't bring money with you. So there's no exchange of money on the day. You have to, and bookings are closing.
It's done through the website?
It's done, it has to be done through the website. Okay. Which means, say if you're going to build a house, you can actually maybe go and visit 2 or 3 architects and see who you click with, because the best buildings are always designed by people who have a good relationship. So if you've got a good relationship with your architect, and if you can divulge everything to them, and if you feel comfortable with them, you'll get the best building.
I think it's brilliant, actually, because I think it makes the idea of going to an architect and getting their knowledge and expert advice much more accessible. Yeah. Because most people around the country would think, oh, I can't afford an architect. That's very fancy.
Or my problem isn't big enough to go to an architect. Yeah. You know,
it's only a wall.
It's only a wall. But you know something, like, I've seen the smallest, a lot of people come to me, we need an extension, and when you've actually looked at their house, looked at their needs, gone through the list of checklists, they don't need an extension. It's just maybe moving one wall or creating a storage wall down one. You know, it could be a simple thing.
Stuff that you've never thought about.
Yeah, I'd love to take down this wall, but I'm really worried about how it's going to make the space a bit more open plan. But where do I put my couch? Where do I put my telly? And if, you know, for €90, that can solve that, and it means that you're not worried. But even if, like, I've nearly designed a house in the hour. You know, when people have come, that was on speed that day, so it was
including full drawings and dribbling it out.
But in terms of what that €90 translates to for the Simon community, that will provide accommodation and meals in a transitional house for 10 nights. Yeah. I mean, that's just wonderful, isn't it? Yeah,
and the Simon community, like I've known the Simon community for the last 8 years, and we've done a sleep out on the streets. They've brought me out on the bus. They have a medical bus that goes around. Like, they are doing huge work, but now, more than ever, what they're doing is they're actually negotiating with landlords. They're trying to keep people in homes, because homelessness, when I started this campaign, was very much about people on the streets. It was very much about dealing with emergency situations, and, you know, knowing that this person needs such and such care and all that. Now it's kind of,
because of what happened across the country,
it's becoming the bottom rung of the ladder. You know, that there's people now, like I live in Drumcondra now, and I drive into town through Gardner Street. Yeah. And it absolutely breaks my heart when you look in, you know, all the hotels that are down, and you're looking at people having their families, like multiple families, all having their breakfast, and kids in school uniforms. They're not on holidays, you know, they're not in a hotel, because they're in emergency accommodation for how long? We deserve better than that. Our kids deserve better than that. As a nation, we should.
But there's so much wrong with it.
Yeah.
Rent prices up by 32%, yet the amount of units that are available, it's like it's just completely out of kilter.
We've no supply.
Look, I'm not going to throw the question, what's the solution, but where do you start there?
Well, you have to start with a plan, and there is a plan in place, but unfortunately, or for whatever, with the government's only in place for 4 years, so it's about keeping that plan in place. But we need to make our cities denser. That means, like, if you go 5 minutes outside the main city centre in a car, you're into low density, big back gardens, big front gardens. We need to, if we want everybody to live in the city, if we want people to have space, we need to cram people together a bit better. But when you do that, then you have to give them proper public spaces. You have to give them proper parks. So nobody minds living around Central Park, do they? In a huge big, if you're in an apartment, because you've got great facilities. We have to start reshaping our cities. We're still designing Dublin as if it's 100 years ago.
But isn't it a very Irish thing to want to live in a house?
Very much so. But I think I'm really impressed with the generation that came after me. Because I was the part of the baby boomers who kind of drove the initial boom, and we all had to buy houses and we were driven into it. I remember banks telling you, I think you're under-borrowed for the amount of money that you earn, and you're like, whoa. And sending you a check. But
we're also the generation that got it.
Yeah.
Boy, do we get it, because we're all living in negative equity.
Exactly.
Now.
And we all owe, and we'll be paying it back for us. But the generation who came after us, the one in the recession, okay, they decided, do you know something? I can never afford to buy a house. So I'm going to rent, and I'm going to rent close to work. And then they started to see all of the real advantages of living in a city and saying, okay, I can go to the theatre tonight. I can go to the pub. I don't have to worry about taxis. And they all now want to live in cities, and they want to live collectively. Whereas my generation was all about owning your own home,
Get on the property
regardless
ladder.
where it was.
It is, but I think their hand was forced, whether they want to live in the city or not.
It was just a culture. It was a culture. Get yourself on the property ladder, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember when we bought our first house, we bought a small house in the city, and everybody thought, you're absolutely crazy. You can buy a brand new house, really big house, in Meath for the same money. And I was like, no, I want to live close to work. And people put I didn't, the size of the house didn't matter to me as much as where it was located.
Well, there's a trade-off with size,
but I think the younger generation now see that. And they'd much rather live closer to work, and they see the advantages of living collectively in a city, and that's what we need to kind of get back to.
Dermot, we're running out of time. Just remind people how they can get involved. SimonOpenDoor.ie.
SimonOpenDoor.ie. It's really easy. You log on, select your region, your county, and then you can, and it lists all the architects, and you can go into their websites. You can see what their work is like. So if you want to say, okay, there's 3 architects here who are in my locality, who do I visit? Click on their website, see whose work you like.
Have a look at a gallery of their work.
Very clever initiative.
And it starts on the Saturday the 13th, so it's next Saturday.
Next Saturday, it's running for a week. Normally we held it over a weekend, but because people had sporting events over the week, we're now running it over. So you can pop in on your lunch break if you're working in town.
Great idea.
But bookings are closing on Thursday evening. So if you want to do it, don't think about it next weekend.
Yes.
Do it this week.
Do it now.
So do it now, because you might forget in the middle of the week. Bookings are closing at midnight on Thursday evening, so you won't get a booking if you do it on Friday morning.
Very briefly, Dermot, before we let you go, Room to Improve. The last, it's now in its 10th series, but the last episode, the house wasn't ready.
Yes.
Give us a quick update on that.
The house wasn't ready.
The house wasn't ready. There you go.
And we're now, the house wasn't ready, and we missed our slot on TV, so we now have to wait for another slot. And it's actually, people think it's more interesting than it actually is.
Well, it's keeping it real. It's keeping our attention as well.
Yeah, I kind of played into that a little bit at the beginning, because people said, this is going to be a huge big drama. Now that it's gone on and we're just waiting for a slot, I'm thinking, oh God, I wish I'd never said anything.
You picked it up.
Yeah, I picked it up a little bit too much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in this morning. Appreciate it.